with analyzing the models in collective housing in which we can measure this big data and try to domesticate in a way these huge figures. That's why the project is called Domestic Big Data. It's like a humor or a joke, because I think that nowadays architects, we are so far to reach the technologies and the big data at the same time that engineering or another fields we have seen these days in the presentation. So to start with this project, in our researching group, we choose a huge quantity of buildings in the history of architecture well known, and we started to measure objective data. So we created a database. We started with general aspects of the buildings, the projects, place, and so on. It's only a little part. And then we take this collection of books is made, so you can buy it even. And this is the beginning of the project. So I bring this, and I decided to make my PhD crossing this database in a comparable and measurable tool. That's why I prefer to talk about these parameters. So we decided to cross in 5 main categories of the database that you have seen before. We made this sort of figures, how we can measure right now and in the future some aspects that maybe could be subjective in projects, but I prefer to focus it in an objective way. That's why I started to draw or create this tool in 5 main categories. From this beginning, all the structure of the tool is going to spread like a cluster. That's why it's the name cluster tool of this project. So how can I draw or make a template reference to know if it's valid or not in value? So I decided to create this system. The graphic system is very simple. For example, the category habitability, we have 6 parameters, and I decided to measure in all our database with a minimum and a maximum from 0 to 100, sorry, and there the average create the whole main category. So every single data is connected with each other. So in this circle, we decided to pass this representation into this spider graphic and link all the minimum and the maximum to create this gray zone in which, from our point of view, is the template reference in which any value is available. It's possible to be compared with a building that we want to rehab or reuse, recycle, or solve right now. So this is the result of the cluster tool test, the first step of the PhD research, in which you can see the 5 main categories for 5, and then it appears, because it's the average of the 6 parameters that you can see in here. If in any case it's necessary to go deep and deep to create another subcategory, it's possible to create this one. This is an open system. That's the beginning of the cluster test graphic template. And with this, it's important to notice that the gray zone will be the part in which you complete the comparison with to compare with the new building action. So I would like to explain why it's very important to know the 5 main categories, because it could be possible to choose others. But from the architectural point of view in history, it's important to detect who have been measured or is be able to measure in this kind of situation. So the urban gradient, the first one, is called because everything could exist apart from seeing the project as an object. So the book or the literature in which we are going to focus to develop on this category is Rainer Baumann, critic who in the 50s started to see what's going on with the infrastructures as a new kind of building scale. I mean, it's something bigger than a block, but no design structure in sense. Sorry for the words. So in the 1976, with the book Megastructure, he decided to focus, for example, in Montreal Theatre and projects like that, who include the huge scale and the public space itself in this situation. So we can see, for example, Viking Wall by Ralph Erskine in Newcastle, where if you see the plan, it's like the buildings like 1 kilometer. It's very huge, and it's created with this idea of urban gravity. So for measure this, we take even the public private transport and the area of greens that could be introduced in the contemporary thinking of architecture, and the sprawl between private or public space. So that would be the first one. We can see also a study case always from Europe and right now in Spain, because our normative sometimes is so difficult to fight with it and introduce public space. For example, in this building, we can see that the public space appears up than the floor, than the ground floor. And it's a very difficult option in normative, because for fire decision and so on, it's not possible to create a direct access. So it's necessary to think about this situation. In terms of energetic optimization, it's a very good point, because we can detect in the United States, in the work of the brothers Borja, Victor, and Alan, it would be possible to focus at the first time talk about bioclimatic design and approach. So they decided to measure a lot of aspects from the buildings, relation with the climate and the wind and the water and different temperatures. So it was the beginning, and right now, to keep it to the present, there's a lot of figures that serve for our research, like light, solar factors, thermodynamic factor, or the form between the envelope and the plant, and even the storage, a very important thing nowadays in our buildings. And the very important approach of these two brothers was the creation in 1956 of the thermal dome, which is cluster tool as well, but not using digital facilities like today we can use. They use like the models used to be built, but using this machine in which you can include the fluids of the wind, the water, even the situation on every single day of the year. So they can measure in the real time some aspects which would be interesting to detect zones of the house in which you can implement the situation. So this is the image that I wanted to do right now, but with using the new technologies and using the big data help to do it in real time, and it's more economic, not using material but digital signals. I mean, habitability is just measuring the scale and the position between the views and the holes in the construction, and so on. In this case, we come back to the early years of the Dutch and the Germany situation in mean doubling, with Klein, Tegel, and so on, reaching the aspect that we can see in Robin Gardens, in which the type is built in a way for this decade, but right now maybe it doesn't work. So the tech in the manufacturing section or even plan, it will be, we have to go further to be able to measure this healthy movement in which you are in a good, comfortable space or not, even using the roofs. So there's a lot of things that, conceptually speaking, we have to improve. And it's necessary to look at this and be able to measure it. Even in adaptability, I will be this is the most recognizable aspect, time in living. No? We can see in the book from supporting hierarchy, difference between supports and structure is the main aspect. And adaptability, we can see, for example, the competition Europan, that even at the beginning, the projects which were won, we were able to win, the time was very important in their design. Right now, this year, the topic is adaptability as well, so it's a competition that is for the 13th edition, this is the 5th, so the architectural approach to this problem is a reality. And finally, is common fields. This is the most difficult aspect for me to measure because it's sociability. It's how the people have the relationship between them. This is the topic in which I have more fight with my director of thesis, because to be able to measure or detect examples in architecture where you can notice or realize that it's possible to interact with the client or the future clients, that's my point of view. It's difficult, but it's possible. For example, we can go have a look back to the International Bauausstellung in Berlin, the IBA, the Alt IBA. It was possible to detect projects in cooperative in which one all the building was empty each 2 floors, and the architects go with have meetings with the future users, and they design together in wood. The structure was made by concrete, but the user could live in their own part of wood house. As you can see here, there's more freedom. It's very funny to look at the papers of this time that you can't see any furniture in the plans because it was necessary to go to live in there and have this view of the living, not in the project. So could appear places or spaces not projected by the architect, but used by the citizen. And finally, after this, we started to try to use this analysis of collective housing in city centers and take the tool. It was, for example, which we take our gray comfort zone on every single category. It's very simple. This is the graphic interface. We measure a new building that you want to use or to make the rehabilitation, and that's all. You draw. You draw in the red, and you draw any single point that is measured in the new building. You want the rehab or reuse. And if it's inside the comfort zone, it's okay. Because, for example, here it's not out. This data will be in-read by the software. That means that it's something wrong here. So we go to the database and we detect which data is be able to be improved in our project. That's simple, that's an open system, that's the beginning of the researching, and we hope that until the end of the PhD grade, we'll be able to generate a more wide range of options to measure, because this is changing every month. Because if I take more models from the beginning, from the architectural models, it changes every time in the software. We use rhinoceros and grasshopper, and this is the image of the project. We want to take the 3D in our software, in Rhino, use and analyze with this cluster tool, and at the same time detecting each point could be able to be improved. For example, if this parameter told us that the envelope is necessary to be water holes in 10%, you can make this on real time in the machine. We hope that it could be helped to be a tool with the client and see in real time with them the possible solution for all these projects, not only in plans or in renders, that sometimes is difficult for us, for architects, to show our work. And that's all. Thank you very much. And if there's any question, I would be a pleasure to answer.
Quite interesting what you're doing. I have two questions. First of all, what tool did you say you used to do this? Rhino? What was the tool you actually used to do that?
Rhino, because it's easy to make a cluster of all of these parameters. I mean, in Grasshopper, you can take the sliders, like the extra of the database, the little database we are using right now. You can put the slider in here, the values, the minimum and the maximum, and there appears the clusters of these categories.
So Rhino and Grasshopper, they are what?
Yes,
open source tools? They're open source tools?
That's why I told us that it's at the beginning of the project, because not enough, because from architecture it's not very common to use this database at the same time that graphic base, because we use the design of the form of the building using Rhino or Grasshopper, and then it's like always the form. But right now it's starting to introduce this kind of solution. So it's far from taking the advance of other.
So Rhino and Grasshopper are architecture tools?
Yes.
Okay.
It's more than AutoCAD was more common, but it's a vector software in which you change one part of the draw and the other part is still like the same. In Rhino, there are families of curves. So if you move this part, and I have a figure here who told me an action. I told you have to move every hole in the shape 1%, 2% of the whole envelope. The whole drawing is moving because our family solved.
Okay, one final question. What do you use to get the data from, like you started off with some data sets. What do you use to get the data inside and do some?
Yes, in this database.
Yes.
We, in the beginning, we choose because this is one part of the research group, developing other colleagues are making other kind of publications about, for example, French. Right now is a French exhibition in researching about how collective housing in Paris is forgotten. So So they look for examples of this. In my case, I use these examples that have been publicated, so it's in the scientific world is well accepted. So I can go to these examples, take the plans, I draw myself the plans, and I can measure in AutoCAD. I can take the measure of volume and length. But making this decision of jump into 3D at real time and so on is more difficult because I have to learn how to use software and researching housing and I'm doing this. And it's like two phases in the research.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I know nothing about this, so my question can be very, very simple. But you use historic data to make to create these gray zones, and you then see them as aspirational, as you call it the comfort zone.
Yes.
So, but how do you know that it's good enough?
That's the main question in my research.
Okay.
This is the most open aspect in the project because now here I have been measured 80 projects, for example, and it's the average of having measured all these samples. But after summer I will have more because I have to draw this and measure this, and I hope that at the end I have enough range of projects to say, okay, that's better know this aspect than before. It's like an open system, and it's not a long path development of the research. It has to be done with a routine, and right now we are looking for some connections with IT intelligence to make a bigger database more quickly than I'm doing right now.
Because you could do like historic trending and see how certain parameters develop throughout time, and
it's a step-by-step already by doing. The main thing is being able to create a new tool. I mean, because in the past, the Guy brothers make it. That's why I love this picture, because they are like in the dark, looking for something in the light. It's like we don't know what are we doing, and that's from this year. It was necessary 20 years to go back to scientists to read these books once again, and in the last 10 years is to come to have this new look for these topics. And the problem is that we can do this, but come on. I don't know, once a month to build the model and so on. And nowadays, with our technologies, it's necessary to take update in our range of work in architecture.